Hello and welcome to my channel, Healing with Hope and Encouragement. My name is Trifina. Today, I want to talk to you on the recovery pizza, far more than I could ask. And, well, I'm in a season that I call excuse less. So I keep wearing my excuse less t-shirt that says, I'm busy, I'm tired, I'm afraid, I'm not enough, and the bottom says I'm excuseless. So you notice we crossed out all those excuses, and so I'm in excuseless mode. So I'm not making any excuses, and I'm doing what I need to do for my recovery. I'm doing what I need to do to offer encouragement. So I am trying to be excuseless without excuse. And so that's why this series, these few videos will be in my excuseless t-shirt. I have two of them, either be black or gray. It's time for you to stop making excuses, right? So today I want to talk about the recovery pizza. So during my stroke rehab, one of the most memorable activities we did was making pizza. Yep, we did. We made pizza for lunch a few times. Sometimes we had to work as a group to get it done because we were all suffering from physical impairments. Some worse than others, some better than others. But if we wanted lunch, we were going to do the work that was required. They didn't hold back lunch from us, but it was just the victory of making your lunch that you ate what you made for lunch. So it wasn't just about making a meal, though it was learning to adapt to use our affected side or affected limb. And it was for us to regain confidence in our everyday task. And yes, they did have a stove. Can you imagine? That rehab was equipped. There was a stove, there was a kitchen, there was an area for washing with washing machine. And of course there were rooms. So we had bathrooms, but there was a rehab bathroom as well, because no matter where you are in your recovery, you still have to get integrated back into society. And so they had the tools for us to learn. They had a car there for us to learn to enter and exit the car, whether it's a minivan or a regular car, but we had to do the work. So a couple of times we made pizza. And I'll probably show you a picture somehow of me making pizza. But you put on your cap and your gloves because you have to be sanitary. And sometimes we worked on our own pizza. Sometimes we worked on things for the group, like the onions and the bell peppers, and some people wanted beef on theirs. And even though I didn't want that, I was the one who was closest to be able to prop up into a standing position to do it. So I had to cook that for the other person who needed, and I had to cook the onions and the bell peppers because I guess I was the strongest at the time, and I didn't think so. And it was funny, but it was nerve-wracking and it was hard, and I had to use the hand that I could hardly use to get the job done. But of course, your therapist, they're there with you every step of the way, supporting you with their body, with their tools, and helping you to do the job. So the task of making the pizza, it pushed me beyond what I thought I could do at the time. And it doesn't that reflect the truth about God? He said, ask, he can do far more than we can ask or imagine, according to the power that is within us. So we can do a lot more than we think. So during that pizza making session, each pizza making session, I was there for almost 4 weeks. So there were little days of cooking. There were days of cooking. Everyone was given a task. Okay. So I told you previously what my tasks were, but before you cook the onions and the bell peppers, you have to cut them up. So we had to do all of that. And you had to knead. The doughs came kind of pre-done, and then you had to use your affected hand to get it to, pizza mode, flat and nice and ready to take the toppings. Everybody made their own pizza, but the toppings, some people who, toppings were divided and those who could do better. The task for me, like I said, involved standing over a stove safely. Oh my goodness. It was quite the adventure for them to help me, to prop me up, to get me to stand with that walker, to grab onto the counter while cooking with my other hand. And of course, they use low heat, so we would be safe. But boy, that was a daunting experience, but I could do it, and I did it far more than I could even imagine. And I'll definitely show you a pizza right there that I made. Didn't it look nice? Doesn't it look fabulous? It was tiring initially, but guess what? Seeing myself doing that gave me that push that I needed. I remember feeling overwhelmed. Something, as simple as making lunch felt like a huge task. It felt like I was carrying some bricks, a ton of bricks. It was so overwhelming, but it was done. You know what? Making that pizza gave me a sense of accomplishment. But, when you're finished, it's so rewarding. Something I didn't think I could do at that stage of my recovery. I made pizza. So here is the deeper truth. Looking back, the first day I did it, it reminded me that I was capable of much more than I thought, even in my weakened state. Isn't that how God works in our lives? He often takes what feels impossible and turns it into something humongous and life-changing, for not just for you, but for other people. He sometimes takes things that we're leery about or scared, and it turns it into a beautiful thing and a purposeful thing. I'm taking, for example, my experience. It was horrendous. It was awful for me. But I see where he's turning it into an encouraging experience for me. It's given me some purpose in terms of sharing with others. I share some of that story in my book, Healing with Hope, and I use it to encourage other people who've been through suffering. And also, I started this channel so I could give some of you encouragement who need it, and you can share it with your friends, a gift that keeps on giving. So some of the things that are so daunting and ends up to be a staple or something good in your life, because you can do much more than you think you can do or imagine that you can do. Ephesians 3 verse 20 says, "Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us." Here we see, that Apostle Paul, he was confident in the ability of God. Are you confident in the ability of God? We are prone to be faint, and we are prone to despair, because that's just our nature. We measure the seriousness of the situation according to our power, man's power to deal with it, not according to the ability of God to deal with it. When the doctor says there's no hope, we are prone to give up. But ultimately, we are not dealing with the limitations of man, but with the unlimited ability of our God. It is important that we learn to look at things according to God's ability. And it does not mean that you are not acknowledging where you are, but we also have to acknowledge that God is bigger and he can do things. Miracles are still happening every day. So during stroke rehab, I learned that God's power can enable us to do far more than what we think is possible. Just as I didn't think I could stand enough to cook that onion and bell peppers and meat, turkey pepperoni. Some people wanted beef. Some people wanted chicken. So stronger ones of us, I think I was the only one, yes, over the stove. So I had to cook all of that. But it gave me endurance as I struggled to stand and as I struggled to use my left hand to make the meal. It was also strengthening me. So I didn't think I was good enough or strong enough to make the pizza, but He gave me the strength to go beyond my limits. Many times we feel like giving up, or we feel like we don't want to do it. Like, many times I felt like I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do the rehab that it took to enhance me physically. Or we don't have the mental and the emotional strength. We have limitations in that area. But those times, I really did pray and ask for strength, and you can do the same. I asked God to give me the gusto, give me the strength that I needed to complete the task. If you like this, remember to like, remember to share it with a friend, remember to subscribe. Friends, are you feeling overwhelmed? Whether you're recovering from a form of suffering or facing a difficult challenge, know that God's power within you can help you to do more than you think you are capable of. That pizza making activity was tiring. It was, but rewarding. The challenges we face can lead to something good and something satisfying in the end. I invite you to reflect on areas where they've seemed that God's power was not working, or your power was flat, but instead you realize later that God's power was working in ways that you didn't even expect. I am so grateful for those moments in rehab that taught me more than just physical skills. They taught me to trust in God's power. If He can help us overcome small tasks, imagine what He can do in the big picture, in the bigger picture of our lives. So, I have a question for you today. Have you ever experienced a moment where God helped you to do more than you thought you could? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear those. And if you really like this encouragement, share with a friend today. And remember, you could do far more than you could ever imagine. Bye now.